Now, it stands to reason that at some point we're going to see this influx of young talent, these prospects getting called up for the first time, slow down a bit as we, believe it or not, start to enter June almost. But look, these guys are still going to be called on when necessary. And I've got a couple of names here that are still top prospects in their team's farm system, and some names that I really think you shouldn't wait on if you want them. One team making all sorts of moves these days are the Athletics. And, I'm not going to talk about the outfielder that was just called up, Denzel Clark. I mean, he's got some speed, he's got a shot, and sure, maybe he winds up producing. I'm going to go back to the guy that is actually the one I've been talking about since the preseason, Colby Thomas, the one I think that should get that outfield job. And at some point will. Not gonna lie, a little disappointed Thomas wasn't among the latest wave of call-ups. They sent JJ Bleday down to the minors. They DFA'd Seth Brown, the veteran, and they called up Denzel Clark and Logan Davidson. Yeah, who's making his major league debut at the age of 27. And so let's see what happens with those two. Maybe they stick around, maybe they don't. But still, Colby Thomas has done everything he can at AAA. At some point, he's got to get the shot. And look, if either of those prospects do struggle, I don't think it will be very long. So far, Thomas hitting 288, 11 homers, 39 RBIs. And you look at the top 900 prospects, according to MLB Pipeline, right? They have a top 30 for all 30 teams. So among that illustrious group, he is third in total bases behind only Jack Caglione and Otto Kemp. Now, you've heard those first two names discussed very recently here. It won't be much longer, I think, till they get their shot. But Thomas, I've been talking about him longer because I really think he should be first. And again, I wish he were just called up instead of Denzel Clark, but I don't think that this is going to work out as well for Clark as some think. I think Thomas is maybe a couple of weeks away. So in your keeper leagues, your deeper leagues, anywhere that you need a shot in the arm, it wouldn't hurt to stash Colby Thomas sooner than later. A team that really needs to do something, and I have just been waiting too long. It's time now, Cleveland. They need something in the outfield, specifically right field, and Chase DeLauter is the future. The only problem with DeLauter is that, well, the present has been filled with injuries. I mean, he just cannot stay healthy. He's got all of 10 games so far this year under his belt in the minors, only a couple at AAA. But in an admittedly very small sample, both this year and even last year, like I said, he missed so much time, he's shown exactly what you want from any top flight prospect. Super low strikeout rate, but combined with power. He has legitimate 60 grade power, and he's walking more than he's striking out. I mean, really, all we need is him to stay on the field for an extended stretch. The platoon of Nolan Jones and John C. Noel that was supposed to provide thump from both sides of the plate, yeah, it's not working out. Each of those guys has just 2 homers on the season. Jones, as of right now, hitting 182. Noel is hitting 146. It can't be much longer, can it? Last year it was foot injuries for DeLauter that kept him out, and this year he just returned not that long ago, about a week. Just hope this isn't one of those players that constantly has one thing after another and gets his season derailed, doesn't get a shot. But look, it hasn't been anything significant. By that I mean, nothing like a UCL, nothing like an Achilles. All right. So I think DeLauter, if he can, again, just keep it together for a few more weeks, we're going to see him and start to deliver for the Guardians. All right. But now we want to talk about a pitcher. You want to discuss serious injuries. Cade Cavalli, we have not seen him in quite a while. This is a 26-year-old former top 10 overall pick, former top prospect for the Nats, but he missed all of 2023 and almost all of 2024, and then even got this year starting the minors delayed. For Cavalli, it's been a long road back from Tommy John surgery, recovery. You just need him to get his feet firmly planted on the mound for any period of time and look something like his former self. I think he's finally almost there. Now, if you don't know anything about Cavalli or his pedigree, then yeah, you'd probably ignore him based on his stat line, which just looks absolutely frightening because he had exactly one major league start back in 2022, gave up 7 earned runs in 4 1/3 inning. And if you look at his minor league stats in the few starts he's had in the minors since trying to recover from Tommy John, they're all bad too. But let's look at the here now. In AAA this season, his last 2 starts, he's only given up 1 run each. He is, as they say, ramping up 4 innings and then 5 innings. And pretty soon, we'll get to what would be a normal starter's workload. But most importantly, the stuff is there. 13 strikeouts over those last 9 innings combined. Cavalli really has the makeup and the stuff to potentially be an ace when all is working. He's got a plus fastball, plus changeup, plus slider, and a plus plus curveball. It stands to reason that the Nationals are going to want to stretch him out a little bit longer in the minors, not just throw him into the rotation. And there's not what I would say an obvious spot. Oh, there's definitely room. Not like the Nats pitching staff is lighting it up, but still, look, Cavalli, I think a couple more weeks, we might start hearing whispers of him getting the call if all goes well. And so in those deeper leagues, I'm kind of quietly stashing him now. Now, you'd think among all the things the White Sox need, which is almost everything, but you'd think maybe catcher is the one thing they don't because they have Edgar Caro, the rookie who just got called up not too long ago, and he's done pretty well. But they have, of course, another catching prospect, even higher on the list than Caro. It's Kyle Teal, a guy that they got from the Red Sox in that Garrett Crochet deal. Teal just made the All Prospect Team of the Week with 3 homers this past week for Charlotte, and he's closing on a batting average close to 300 in his time at AAA. That's a fairly hitter-friendly venue, but still, when you have a catcher with that kind of offensive prowess, and he does definitely have plus power, you pay attention. We know that this kid is pretty much ready. The only thing that might be blocking him potentially is Caro, but here's an intriguing idea. Play them both. I mean, look, it's the White Sox. What do you got to lose? I mean, sure, they can't both be behind the plate at the same time. Let's see him as the number 2 catcher. Let's see them switch off. Clearly, there's room at DH. In fact, they just sent Andrew Vaughn and Tim Elko back down to AAA. I think it just makes sense for a guy like Teal to take one of their places. I mean, really, Mike Tauschman, what are we doing here? And although this has been sort of the year of the catcher for fantasy, you got plenty of options. There are 2 catcher leagues. There are deep leagues where you want to find a guy who is hot, and as soon as Kyle Teal does get called up, I'm going to be interested in him, even in single catcher leagues. So it will be very curious to see exactly how long they can keep him down in the minors, but I have a feeling it might not be as long as people expect. And a couple of lesser known prospects, but these 2 are actually up with the club right now. I do want to discuss a Royals outfielder. It's not the one that you would want. Caglione did get promoted to AAA, but I still think he's got some time there. Instead of Cags going up to the Royals, they decide to recall John Rave. Now, don't worry if you don't know about John Rave. I didn't either. Royals not exactly a rich farm system, and he's not exactly high up on the ranks. But you know what? He's been pretty productive there. This year, at the AAA level, 202 plate appearances. He's hitting 301, 9 homers, 25 RBIs, 46 runs scored, and 17 steals. And last year, 17 steals and 21 home runs, also at AAA. I mean, he's been productive. He's, as they say, one of those jack of all trades or tools. He doesn't do any one thing exceptionally well, but he does a little bit of everything. And I kind of like that because for fantasy, you're looking for help in every category. And sure, he may not be stealing bases every day, but he's going to help you. And I don't think he'll hurt you in any category. Now, they made this move for a reason because if there's one area the Royals have struggled big time, it's the outfield. And they've also made a lot of moves, actually good on them for being proactive. We've seen MJ Melendez early in the year get sent down to the minors. Kevin Biggio, the veteran, also just got optioned to the minors. And they said goodbye to Hunter Renfroe. He was also DFA'd. So give a shot to a guy like Rave, and let's see what happens. At the very least, he should be a strong side platoon player right now. You never know how these prospects will respond when they get the call. So even though he wasn't high on anybody's radar, or maybe not on anyone's radar at all, let's actually give him a shot. I'm not saying you should go out and pick him up everywhere, but let's check the box scores the next couple of days and see what he's doing. And, some people will say, what about Nick Lofton? He also just got put back in the club, and, he is higher on the ranks. He's also a guy that we have seen in the majors, and sure, one part of one season don't determine your fate, but he has not been able to hit major league pitching very well so far, and he's just kind of a utility player, doesn't really have a home position, so I kind of feel less secure about his chance to get regular at-bats. And then quickly, I want to mention one more prospect who I think is going to be with the club. Rumors are the Pirates are calling up pitcher. Yeah, don't get your hopes up. Braxton Ashcraft. And so not exactly sure if he's going to be part of that bullpen or what's going on, but supposedly he's up with the club. Now, this is also one of their top pitching prospects, and not Bubba Chandler, and no, not even Hunter Barco or Thomas Harrington. but he's up there. They just had Mike Burrows join the rotation. He made his first start and he was okay. I'm sure they'll give him a little bit longer look. And so while we all would like Bubba to be the guy who takes his place if Burrows doesn't work out, maybe Ashcraft gets it first. Who knows? Like, Ashcraft does have good stuff. He's been pretty effective overall in the minors, although not so much this year. Let's just say last year across both double and triple A, a 2.84 ERA, 1.07 whip, and about a strikeout per inning. Now, this year in 10 starts is a 5.03 ERA and a 1.49 whip, but this hasn't deterred the Pirates from potentially giving Ashcraft a chance. So, let's see if he does get a start. I don't know if that's going to happen real soon right away, but it doesn't mean it won't in the near future. One thing Ashcraft does have going for him is a wipeout slider, and at least having that one elite pitch, he can lean on it to induce swing and miss. And that's something that will play at the major league level. All right, there you have it. We're going to keep trying to beat those breakouts. As always, I do keep Trade Cut to tell you what to do with some struggling veterans on the other side of the coin. If you missed this week's edition, it's right here.